Good afternoon, everybody. It's your boy, Pigskin Pete. Happy Tuesday to everybody. Thank you all for joining me on this fine Tuesday evening. So we got, I'm going to get to your comments in a second here. So we've got, this is like Christmas for me. And you know what? The reality of this is that tonight's rankings for the top, say, at least 8 or 10 teams don't really matter in the grand scheme of things because a lot of these teams play each other. That's the first thing. The second thing is any of these teams, whether it's one-loss teams or undefeated teams, win out, they're in the playoffs. And so a lot of this is going to take care of itself. But the reason this is like Christmas to me has nothing to do with Clemson or any of these other teams. It reminds me of why I do what I do on YouTube. If you're a content creator out there, any of you, there's been days when you woke up in the morning at some point in your content creating career, if you want to call it that, or time, and you say, maybe I shouldn't stop doing this. Why am I doing this? But it is days like today that remind me why I do what I do. Not days like today necessarily, but weeks like this past week. This is the meat of the college football season. This is when everyone gets all up in their feelings and gets real butthurt about everything that happens. And that's what I love. You know, what's going to happen in the wake of tonight is probably much more entertaining and interesting than what's going to happen in the actual show tonight. So there's going to be, without a doubt, at least one or two, probably more than that, probably 2 or 3 fan bases out there. They're going to take to Facebook and Twitter after these rankings come out tonight, and they're going to be crying their eyes out and complaining and whining and moaning all over the internet about where they were ranked. That might be Clemson fans. I wouldn't put it past them. If Clemson's ranked at 5 or 6, you're going to see Clemson fans on Twitter and Facebook crying about it. Penn State, if they're not ranked, in the top 4, they might have a reason to cry. They might be crying about it. Alabama, if they're not ranked in the top 3 or 4, they might be crying about it. Where Georgia's placed in relation to Oregon or some of these other one-loss teams, they might be crying about it. And that is the whole reason I do what I do. That's the reason I say it's like Christmas for me, because it reminds me why I do what I do. I love this time of year. I love it. Now, some of you may be new to the channel because, of course, at this time of the year, a lot of new people come on because there's a lot more people looking at your channel. And I know I've had a lot of new subscribers over the past month or so, a few hundred. And this might be a good time for me to go ahead and do a Pigskin Pete public service announcement based on some of the comments and some of the backlash I've seen on some of the recent videos that I've posted. If you want a vanilla coat and tie, straight-laced, non-homer point of view on college football, this is not the channel for you. I'm going to save you some time. I'm going to save you a lot of heartache or whatever you want to call it. I even had a guy comment yesterday and said, I think this guy is a Clemson fan. Why would we listen to him? Now, I don't know what gave this genius the lead that I could possibly be a Clemson homer. I mean, I don't know if it was the Clemson jacket I have on. I don't know if it was the Clemson hat I had on. I don't know if it's the giant Clemson helmet behind my head. I don't know if it's all the Clemson gear you see behind me. I don't know if it's the 600 friggin' videos that I posted over the past 2 years where I'm wearing the same shit that I'm wearing now. But something gave this guy the inkling that I might be a Clemson fan and I might be biased. Yes, I'm a Clemson fan and I'm biased. But this is a channel for people. If you're over the age of 15, I don't even know why I'm picking the age 15, but that's where I'm going to go. If you're over the age of 15 and you can handle watching a Clemson homer give his opinion on his team and your team then this is the place for you. If you don't like hearing a guy like me wearing orange and purple, spouting that Clemson rhetoric every week, say something about your team that you might not like, then kick rocks. This is not the place for you because it's going to get worse. I promise. So I just thought I'd go ahead and get that out there. Listen, there's a lot of Clemson video makers out there. There's a lot of Clemson content. There's Clemson radio stations. There's podcasts. There's YouTube makers. All of them are great in their own right. And they're all good at what they do. But I do what I do, and I'm good at what I do. In my eyes. And the vast majority of the people that watch the Pigskin Pete YouTube channel are not Clemson fans. They're college football fans, just like me. So if you can't handle a little bit of trash talk, probably not the place for you. If you can't handle a Clemson guy defending his team, probably not the place for you. If you can handle some good trash talk and good banter, this is the place for you. If you're over the age of 15 and you don't have a vagina in your pants. No offense to the ladies. I'm sure I didn't mean it in that way. Okay. Let me get to the comments here, and then we'll talk about these college football rankings tonight. I had to get that off my chest. Public service announcement in the books. Nice Guy TV coming up with 2 super chats of $2 a piece. Check me out on Nice Guy TV. Everyone go check him out. Nice Guy TV. He's also a Clemson guy and a big contributor to the channel. History of NC State upsetting Clemson. Yes, there is a history of that. Let me go way back up here and see if I can call some people out, and then we'll get right into the meat of the subject here. Hound Dogs in the house. Edward Craven, Jamie McCaslin, Cat in the Hat. I don't know if I've ever seen you before, but welcome to the chat. Cat in the Hat. C-Raw. Clemson, Jesus. Jesse Stacy in the house. Clemson, Jacob. Johnny Red Dot. Jaber Woe. Some of these names, man. Welcome, JB Woe. Clemson alum 98, Christian Ballard, the real McCoy, Country Tiger, Parrish McWaters, Spectral, I almost said special, Spectral Tiger, Bobby Durkins, May there, buddy, GSW. Anybody hears what sounds like hacking up a lung in the background? That's my dog, and yes, he is hacking up a lung, and he does that about 20 times a day. And Dennis Wilson, my favorite Miami fan. Pigskin Pete is what a rock rubber ramp runner rant you are going through. Yes, thank you. Brody L is in the house. Gate City Blue Devil. Amanda Morton. Says, I like you, start the football talk. I'll get there in a minute. I'm just going through my shout-outs here. DeGoat Watson, Dan May, Ethan Lyles, Jay Jobs, Uncle Lou is in the house. Grown man in the basement with sunglasses on. Yeah, apparently I'm not the only one, Uncle Lou, that's a grown man in his basement. But by the way, I would tell you this. Let me take my sunglasses off for this, as a matter of fact. See me? See my eyes? Everyone wants to see my eyes. There's my eyes. I'm the only man in the United States of America that has a basement on the second level of his house. Anyway, so look, this the rankings come out at, they said 8 o'clock, but on ESPN right now, there's 10 and a half minutes left in this basketball game, which tells me that this shit's not going to come on for at least another 30 minutes because ESPN's late on everything. All right, so let me go back to OBS real quick. Let me put up my projections that I had. Now, listen, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Since I made that video yesterday where I put up my official final projection rankings of where I think they're going to come in tonight, I've changed my mind about 3 times. But being the upstanding man that I am, I'm going to stick by my word. I'm not going to back out on this. I am going to stick by my projections. But at this point, what I'm going to do is give you my moderations to those projections, and then we'll go from there. Let's see. Hold on. I want to put the wrong one up. All right, there it is. So we've got, according to that video I did anyways, Oklahoma coming in at number 10, Baylor at 9, Utah at 8, Georgia at 7, Oregon at 6, Penn State at 5, Clemson at 4, Bama at 3, Ohio State at 2, and LSU at 1. Now, the only one that I'm probably, well, the only two that I'm probably most sure about that I will stick by is 1 and 2. I think the LSU is going to come in at number 1. I'd be shocked if they didn't. I think Ohio State's going to come in at number 2. I would be shocked if they didn't. Now, if you cluster the rest of these, Alabama at 3, 4, Clemson at 4, Penn State at 5. You could flip-flop those any way that you want. There's a lot of people out there, and I don't disagree with this, by the way, that think that Penn State's going to come in at number 3 because of their resume. If you look at their strength of record so far compared to a Clemson or an Alabama, they probably should come in at 3. And if they come in at 3, I wouldn't be surprised, and I wouldn't be mad at that. Alabama and Clemson, you could flip-flop them either way you want. Now, Clemson has the close win against North Carolina by 1 point. Alabama, on the other hand, has controlled every game that they've had. So, in my mind, I think they'll have Alabama ahead of Clemson. But if you look at their strength of record, which the committee says that they do, we'll see how much they really stick to that Clemson so far has a better strength of record than Alabama does. If you just look at their opponent's win percentage, okay, and that's, I think Clemson's opponent win percentage is somewhere around 50%, and Alabama's is less than 40%, like 39%. Now, I don't know how much that really matters, okay? And first of all, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things where they rank these two teams, because, again, if Clemson wins out, they're in. And, of course, Alabama has a game against LSU this weekend. If they win that game, they're going to be number 1 next week in the poll, so that doesn't matter either. Penn State, we just talked about Penn State. Penn State could finish anywhere, in my opinion, from 5 to 3, in maybe even 2 in these rankings, because they're undefeated and they have some good wins. Now, the thing with Penn State is game control. They haven't controlled every game. They almost lost to Pitt. They had a couple of other close calls. And the win against Michigan now, I guess, is looking a lot better than it would have maybe 3 weeks ago. So Penn State is really the fly in the ointment here. Now, when you go from 6 to 10 or 10 to 6 or however you want to look at it, those 4-5 teams, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, could go in any order, and I wouldn't be surprised. Now, these next week's rankings after this week, and there's games to be played this week, what we learn from what the committee's going to do this week will give us a much better indication of what they're going to do next week, because we'll have something to go off of. Now, just for shits and giggles and for fun, I'm going to put up what Pigskin Pete's personal rankings were, just so I can piss some more people off. This got better reaction than I thought it was going to get on YouTube. I'm not going to even lie. I knew that when I put my personal thoughts on the way this should go up on the screen on that last video, that I was going to get a hell of a reaction from it, but I got an even better reaction than I could even imagine. Go back and read the comments. Some of these morons out there didn't even watch the video, which doesn't surprise me. A lot of these people don't watch the video. They read the title. I got at least 4 or 5 comments that said, this idiot thinks Clemson's going to be ranked number 1. What a homer. I didn't have Clemson ranked number 1 in either one of my not the projection and not my personal opinion. They looked at the title of the video, and I had Clemson, Alabama, OSU, and LSU on the thing. They saw Clemson first in that, and they thought, without even watching the video, that I ranked Clemson number 1. Because this is the level of potato that I deal with on a daily basis. And, of course, being the man that I am, I let them know exactly how stupid they were before they even watched the video. So there's the personal Pete rankings. If I were to rank them right now, 10 to 1, that's how I would have it. I explained why. I know you guys are looking at Clemson at number 2 and saying this guy's a homer. This guy he has no objectivity whatsoever. He's got LSU at 3. How could he possibly say LSU is behind Clemson? I explained my reason for this. If you don't agree with my reason, that's fine. Believe me, I don't agree with your reasoning either. But the fact of the matter is, in my mind, which is basically nothing. I mean, it's mush based on the recreational activities I had from ages 15 through 20. There's really nothing left up there. But based on my reasoning, I think, based on what I've seen, that Ohio State and Clemson are the two best teams in the country to this point. And the reason I think that is because I think they're the two most complete teams. They're the two teams with the best offense and defense combined. You look at all these other teams, you can point out a weakness on one side of the ball or the other. That's my reasoning. Get over it if you don't like it. But guess what? My personal opinion and my rankings mean nothing. My personal opinion and my personal rankings are right up there with the AP poll because I feel like I have been the only guy, maybe not the only one of the only ones. I've certainly been the martyr and at the forefront of this movement since August, since week 1, telling everybody that the AP poll is complete crap and meaningless. Everyone gets all in their feelings about where their team is ranked in the AP poll every week. I'm sitting back laughing at you. But guess what? As of tonight, as of 9 p.m. or whenever the hell they start this stupid show, I will be proven correct because you will not hear a single person for the rest of the season even mention the AP poll. Now, why would that be? Because I was right. Because the AP poll doesn't mean anything once these college football playoff rankings come out. So everybody can take that AP poll, bend over, and wipe their ass with it. Because it means nothing at this point. I'm going to take my rankings off the screen so I don't trigger anybody that just comes in here. God knows that would be a travesty. I don't need that. So, all right, so we'll see where they're ranked. Let me go back and read some of the comments here. Uncle Lou says, please put the sunglasses back on. And he gave me $5, so I'll do that. I'll do that just for him. God knows. Anybody else? If anybody else wants me to take them back off, it's going to cost you another $5. Thank you. Yeah, and you're welcome. Thank you, Uncle Lou, for the super chat, sir. You're amazing and fantastic, but you already knew that. What's up, Brett Legg? Yes, I do. You know what's funny is I was driving this morning to work, and it was pouring down rain. It couldn't have been darker outside. I had my sunglasses on when I was driving, and I just giggled to myself. Wearing my sunglasses in the rain, thinking what everybody would have thought about that. Anyway. Aaron Short says, I think the AP poll weighs more than Pigskin Pete, but you're right. The committee rankings, playoff rankings is what counts. I have no idea what that means. Is this a porn channel? I can't tell what channel this is. Okay. I wish I wouldn't have read that, but I did. All right. DG's in the house. DG says, oh, I lost that. What's up, Stone Cold Cowboy? I lost DG's comment. There we go. Here it is. Ohio State 1, LSU 2, Ohio State 3, Bama 4. What? You can't have Ohio State at 1 and 3 unless they learned how to clone a team. It's definitely not possible. I mean, I know they learned how to clone a sheep, but as far as I know, they haven't learned how to clone football teams. Penn State 4, Clemson 5, Clemson and Penn State 6. Sir, what in the hell are you talking about? Ashley Snell coming through with a super chat of $5. ESPN is owned by Disney, and all the Associated Press is corporate. Listen, thank you for the super chat. I don't buy into conspiracy theories. Can you imagine, speaking of conspiracy theories, while we're at it, because there's nothing I love more than a good conspiracy theory. Even though I think most conspiracy theories are complete crap, and people that actually believe in these conspiracy theories probably are sitting in their underwear eating Doritos in their mama's basement with sunglasses on at night. No, I don't think that this committee cares about Alabama playing LSU this weekend, and I've heard the conspiracy theory that they're going to rank Alabama and LSU 1 and 2 because so they can have a 1 and 2 matchup. Look at the people that are on the committee. That's what you got to do. These people have nothing to do with ESPN, a lot of them. You've got athletic directors, which that's a whole other story. That's a conspiracy theory in itself that I can actually get behind. That should not be happening, but it is what it is. But you have former NFL. You got people that aren't even involved in college football. You got people that are politicians. You've got people that are former NFL. Ronnie Lott is on the committee. So you've got a lot of different people in there, and I just don't think that these people really give a shit who's playing who and what the perception is of where they should be ranking these people. I know that people want to think that. I don't think that. I think that they feel like they want to get it right. Now, if you agree with what they're doing versus what they're not doing, that's a whole different story, but I don't think there's any sort of a nefarious goal behind what they do and don't do. I don't believe that. And unless somebody can prove it to me, then it's just a bunch of bullshit. What's up, Tyler Harrow? Joseph Wonders. Penn State is the best team in the country. I would have to disagree. Penn State is a great team, though. Billy Dawson in the house. Most Pac-12 and Big Ten teams are on the committee. Christian Ballard, did you see my last comment? No, I did not. Let me scroll back up and see if I can get it for you. All right, Christian Ballard says, if I get my rankings right, you got to stream the Alabama versus LSU game wearing Alabama gear. Sir, that ain't going to happen. So, no. Tyler's a dumbass Southern team. Big Ten and Northern teams, way more, especially Alabama, roll tide roll. I have no idea what you're saying there, but good point. USA Power, Clemson is by far the best team in the country, most complete, and they will win another national championship this year. USA Power, I would love to believe what you're saying, as much of a homer as I am, but I cannot get on board with guaranteeing a national championship. I still think that there's probably only 4 or 5 teams that really have a legit chance of winning a national championship. I won't reveal who those teams are tonight. Clemson is certainly one of them. But let's not forget, you only have to lose one game, whether it's in the regular season or the postseason, for that not to happen. And when you take any of these top 5 or 6 teams and you put them on a field together, any of them can beat any of the other ones on any given day. I truly believe that. It's not just me saying that. So, I mean, yeah, I hope Clemson does win. Do I think Clemson's one of the top 4 teams in the country? Of course I do. Do I think they could win a national championship again this year? Of course I do. Am I guaranteeing it? No, I'm not. If Clemson and Penn State were to play right now, who would win? I think Clemson's a more complete team than Penn State. But again, yeah, you're talking to a Clemson guy here. So, yeah. What's up, Luke LaPointe? Which team has a free get out of jail this year? You mean which one-loss team could get in? I'm assuming that's what you're saying. I'm trying to read between the lines there. Well, if Georgia wins out, they're in. Right? I mean, they're a one-loss team. If they win out, they're in. For sure. Because that means they will have to beat Auburn and either LSU or Alabama in the title game. They'll definitely be in, and they would deserve to be in. There's a lot of a debate whether an undefeated Baylor should get in. I think they should. First of all, I know they would. There's no scenario that can happen. I don't care who it is. An undefeated conference champion from a Power 5 conference is getting in the playoffs. I don't care what their out-of-conference schedule looks like. I don't care what their conference schedule looks like. It's just going to happen. Period. There's no scenario where a one-loss SEC team is getting in ahead of a undefeated Big 12 team. As much as people from the SEC want to think that, it's not happening. We have to wait for Kansas versus Duke to end. What? They are timing the show in between the basketball games. Yeah, but this basketball game still has too much time left on it. It's already 9 o'clock now, and there's still 5 minutes left in this stupid game that nobody cares about. Kansas versus Duke. Oh, that's what you're talking about. What's up, Sandor Reigns? Big fan of the show, Pete. Thank you. I will take any compliment that I can get. Trust me, they're few and far between. So, thank you. Turn it to ESPNU. Huh? Well, I just did. It's Clemson. Oh, Clemson and Virginia Tech. Yeah. Clemson has a basketball game tonight. I would love to sit here and pretend as if I am a big basketball fan. I'm not. I hope Clemson wins. But look, it is what it is. I'm not going to pretend to be a basketball fan when I'm not. Bama didn't win the SEC and won Natty, so I wouldn't rule out a one-loss SEC over Baylor. Just saying, I would. I just don't. Look, the winner of the SEC, and this is another debate that was going on that I heard today. Is there a scenario? And when I was on, I don't know if Uncle Lou's still in here. He can confirm this. I was on his morning show, I guess last Monday, and we were going through the scenarios of the playoffs. And I said on there, if Georgia was let's say Georgia, now they beat Florida. Let's say Georgia goes on to lose to Auburn. First of all, I don't think that's going to happen. I think Georgia's going to beat Auburn. Let's just say, just for argument's sake, that Georgia loses to Auburn, but wins the East, and then goes to the SEC championship game as a 2-loss team and beats either Alabama or LSU and wins the SEC. I think the winner of the SEC, even if it's a 2-loss Georgia, is getting in the playoffs. And of course, the people in the comment section on Uncle Lou's video were telling me I was high. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Get this guy off the air. He's a complete moron. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's never seen a football game. Blah, 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 blah. The reality is, no, we've never seen a 2-loss team get in the playoffs. But we've also never seen a 2-loss SEC champion. And I do believe that a 2-loss Georgia, if they won the SEC, would get in the playoffs. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. It would depend on what other teams do. I just have a hard time believing that the SEC champion, unless they have 3 losses, is not getting in the playoffs. Tyler Harrow, Clemson is overrated. Well, Tyler Harrow, he falls right into the basket of the rest of the potato heads that comment on this channel all the time, every day. I mean, what do you mean by overrated? They haven't even been rated yet, sir. The show hasn't even come on yet. But if by overrated you mean, I don't know, 2 out of the last 3 national championships, 4 college football playoffs in a row, 10 straight 10-win seasons, then yes, you are correct, sir. They are overrated compared to your shit team. Row the boat. Now we see where he's really coming from. Talk about overrated. This guy is a Minnesota fan. Hey, Tyler, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, and I will make sure that you learn something about college football before the day is over. You're welcome. Sandra Raines, what about Oregon or Utah? What do you think of their chances? Either one of those teams wins out, I believe that they will be in the playoff. I believe that a 1-loss Pac-12 champ will make the playoffs. Now, there would probably have to be some real extenuating circumstances for that not to happen, but I believe that they would get in. Listen, the Pac-12, I give the Pac-12 a lot of hell over the past few years, but listen, I'm an ACC fan, so I deal with the same crap that the Pac-12 deals with. But the bottom line is the Pac-12 this year is much, much better than they've been in the past few years, and so I think that you can take either one of those teams' conference schedule and say that they live up to the hype. And if they're 12-1 and they're Pac-12 champs, I think they'll get in. A lot of this is going to take care of itself again, guys. So we already know LSU and Alabama had to play each other. We know Penn State and Ohio State had to play each other. Listen, even as a Clemson fan, I agree Clemson probably has to win out. I don't see a scenario at this point, just based on the other teams, where a 1-loss Clemson is going to make the playoffs. Unfortunately, because of the ACC's Perception is so bad right now. So, but I do think that a one-loss Pac-12 champ would probably get in. Well, Paulo Escobar. What's up, sir? OSU third tonight. I'm a Buckeye, but that's the safest play for the committee. I would disagree. I think Ohio State's going to come in at 1 or 2, most likely 2. The real question is, for all you guys that are just joining me and you missed the first, say, 5 minutes or so of this of stream, of course you can see my projection that I put up there from a couple of days ago. Believe me, I don't think that's going to be 100% right. I'd be shocked if it was. I wouldn't be surprised to see if Penn State was at 3. I wouldn't be surprised to see Clemson at 3. I think Clemson could go anywhere from 3 to 5. I don't think you'll see him out of the top 5, but I wouldn't be shocked to see him at 3. I wouldn't be shocked to see him at 4. I wouldn't be shocked to see him at 5. The same goes for Penn State. I wouldn't be shocked to see Penn State at 3, 4, or 5. The same goes for Alabama. I wouldn't be shocked to see them at 3, 4, or 5. Those 3 teams, you could put in any order, and it wouldn't surprise me. And then from 6 through 10, it's a complete crapshoot. The order they're going to have them in. Will they have Georgia ahead of Oregon? I think let me look at my thing here. I already forgot. I think I had Oregon projected ahead of Georgia by 1 spot. Yeah, but I would not be surprised if it were the other way around, because Georgia has a better win than Oregon, and but Georgia has a worse loss than Oregon. What I think though is that the committee is going to value the win more than the loss. And that's probably where I'm wrong on that. So Georgia could be I think the highest would be 7, or the lowest would be 7. The highest could be 6. I think Georgia's going to come in either at 6 or 7. Now, Oklahoma, Baylor, and Utah, that's the real unknown, right? I mean, if I were to nail that projection, then I'd be a genius. But I wouldn't be a genius because it's really just a complete guess, the same way everyone else is guessing. The Storm 250, what time is the ranking? The ranking is supposed to happen right now, but we're waiting on this stupid basketball game to be over with. So, same thing happened last year, I think. Here's the other thing that nobody's talking about. You know, Penn State fans are going to be, I think they're going to be upset if they don't come in the top 4. And maybe they have a real reason to be upset if they're not in the top 4 based on their resume. I'm not going to argue with that. But Penn State, they have an undefeated Minnesota this weekend. If they beat, they'll be in the top 4. No doubt. They'll push either Clemson or Alabama out of the top 4 if that's the way that it happens this week. Because they'll have a better win. Now, Penn State also has Ohio State in a few weeks, or in a couple weeks. So that'll take care of itself too. So all these teams, again, from let's say numbers, at least the first 6 in these rankings, where they're ranked tonight doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Even, hell, the entire top 10, it doesn't matter. Any of these teams went out, they're in. Is this the couch auction? No idea what the hell that means, but sure. Mike 883 or 3883 says Penn State is not above top 4. Minnesota is on a weak side. They won't jump Alabama or Clemson. Well, I disagree, because I think Minnesota is going to be at the very least in the top 12, maybe even in the top 10 tonight. And so if Penn State beats them and Minnesota, which is where the game is, then that'll be considered a top 10 win. And Penn State will definitely jump either in Alabama or a Clemson based on that alone. But it doesn't matter. Again, it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Clemson needs to win out. Alabama needs to win out, in my opinion. I don't see a scenario where Alabama, Alabama's in a very similar situation to Clemson. As much as people don't want to realize it, they just are. Yes, they have better teams left on their schedule than Clemson does. But unfortunately for Alabama, they can't afford to lose to LSU. If they lose to LSU this week, which I don't think they will, I think Alabama's going to win the game, but that's besides the point. If Alabama loses to LSU, I don't see a scenario where Alabama gets in the playoffs because they won't win the West and they don't have anybody else left in their schedule. You're going to tell me Auburn? Auburn's turned out to not be as great of a win as we thought. So I don't see a scenario where Alabama could do what they did a couple of years ago and not even win the West and get in. I don't see that scenario happening. Maybe I'm wrong. I just don't see it happening. John Mike is coming through with the comment of the day. I mean, this guy is a complete genius. I mean, everyone should go and ask John Mike what his opinions are on every single college football game because he made the most bold and accurate statement of the year. And he said, Clemson schedule is weak ass or is ass weak, or I don't know what the hell he said. Whatever it was completely retarded. But he let everybody know because believe me, nobody other than John Mike has ever said that Clemson's schedule is weak ass before. So he's definitely got the leg up on that one. Thank you for that comment. You're a genius, sir. They've already made the playoffs without winning the West and have no good wins. I think this year is different, though. Because basically the West isn't as strong. Listen, Texas A&M wasn't as good as a win this year as it was that year. Auburn's not going to be as good of a win as it was that year. And if they lose to LSU, I think Alabama has to win out. There might be a scenario. The only scenario I can imagine where Alabama could still lose and get in would be if they make the SEC championship and lose by a point or a field goal, and that's their only loss. And some of these other teams like Oregon and Utah and Clemson, and maybe in Ohio State or somebody loses a game. Sad Falcons fan, good afternoon, says, as a UGA fan, I would really want to play Ohio State. Are you sure about that? If you say so, I believe you. Clemson Jacob, whoever wins between LSU and Bama will be in the playoffs. I don't think two SEC teams get in. I agree. Everyone sleeps on Penn State. How if we find a way to lose to Ohio State, watch us show up in primetime neutral field. Listen, all you Penn State fans that are joining me, that have been watching me and commenting, Penn State, they're just like Clemson. They're just like Alabama, just like LSU, the rest of these teams. They control their own destiny. If Penn State wins out, they're going to get in. I don't see a scenario where Penn State could lose a game and still get in, though, unfortunately. George says, I kind of feel bad for Clemson fan base. They don't get to see any good games this year. Well, you know what? That's true every year, George, because they play in the crappy ACC. And, of course, all they do is schedule two SEC teams a year and make the playoffs. So you're right. We don't get to see any good games until we go to the playoffs and wax that ass. I'd rather see two good games in January than four good games between August and November. But you're right. Do I think there will be an 8-team playoff in the future? I do. I think it's pretty much a given. Yeah, the that's a long statement, of course. I mean, the future is from now until infinity, right? I think we'll see an 8-team playoff within the next 5 or 6 years once these TV contracts run out. I think the current playoff TV contracts run out in like 2024 or 2025. That'll be the best chance you see of an expansion. That's probably when it will happen, I would think. Now, there's a lot of politics that goes into that, though. So how that looks, is it 6 teams? Is it 8 teams? I don't know. I don't like the expansion idea to begin with, but if there was going to be an expansion, I'm for the 6-team system rather than the 8, and no more than 8. I can live with 8 as much as I don't want to live with 8. Anything past 8, you're starting to look like the NFL system, and that's something I don't want to see. I think that anything more than 8 would ruin college football as we know it, and I would not be up for that. Yeah, I don't know. I understand that people are fans, and if you're that one or two teams on the outside looking in from the four, and you feel like you can beat those four teams or any one of those four teams, and you feel like you need a shot. I get that. That's the fandom in us. But at the end of the day, the more you expand the playoffs, the less important the regular season becomes. That's just all there is to it. That's not my opinion. That's a fact. If you can be a 2 or 3 loss team and win a national championship, that devalues the regular season. It is what it is. Aggressive half. I like 8, but no more than that. Yeah, I agree. The perfect number is 6. And that's a good point. Someone's bringing up the D1. A lot of scrutiny, a lot of blame comes on some of the, Clemson and even the SEC teams like Alabama, and hell, all the SEC teams, about scheduling these FCS teams. Look, you're barking up the wrong tree. I agree. Nobody hates watching Clemson play Wofford more than Pigskin Pete. I don't think it's good for Clemson fans. I don't think it's good for college football. Look, in a couple of weeks, Alabama plays Western Carolina. Do you know that Western Carolina is in the same conference as Wofford? Do you know that Western Carolina lost by 50 points to Wofford? So, yes, it's bad. Listen, if you're a season ticket holder to any of these schools and you only get to go to, you're paying for 7 home games a year, and 2 of those are against nobody, 2 or 3 in some cases. In Alabama's case, they play 3 non-Power 5 teams a year. So out of your 7 games, you got to go watch 3 cupcake games if you're Alabama ticket holder. That's not good for college football. Nobody watches those. Nobody goes to those games unless they're just going to drink and hook up with a drunk chick. And nobody watches them on TV. It's not good for football. Get rid of them. Get rid of them. If you want to expand the playoffs to 6 or 8 teams and say we'll shorten the regular season by a game or 2, but get rid of these stupid FCS games, I'm all for it. Sign me up. I'll be right there at the front of the picket line with my Clemson hat on saying that Clemson shouldn't play these games. But unfortunately for everybody involved, I don't have a say in it. It is what it is. Tyler Harris wants to know if I'm a virgin. Yeah, I'm. Here's what I am. I'm Jesus. You know who Jesus is? You know the guy with long hair and the sandals that everyone, the guy on the cross that everyone prays to. I'm him. I'm the virgin dad. You ever heard of the virgin mother? I'm the virgin daddy. I've got 2 kids as a virgin. I'm a miracle worker. Jay, nope. Alabama not getting past LSU. Yeah, I think they are. George, shout out to Mullet for melting to the shot clock y'all's drive on Jacksonville. Okay. All right, so this game is over finally. Hopefully they'll start this thing. What time is it? 20 minutes late. Aaron Ross says he just popped in the stream at the wrong time. There's never a wrong time to pop in, sir. You are right on time. Yeah, everybody, while we're at it, go ahead and type in the comments section here. Type in your top 5. If you want to type in your top 10, you'll be typing for a while. Go ahead and type in your top 5 predictions. What the hell? Why not? You can see mine on the screen there. Now, I really wish I could change them, but I'm not going to change them in the interest of entertainment here. So my top 5 are Penn State, Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, and LSU in that order, or opposite of that order. College football, Jace says Clemson number 1, Clemson number 2, Clemson number 3. You're a genius. I agree. Alex says Ohio State, LSU, Bama, Penn State. So he's leaving Clemson out of the top 4. Kevin Killaway says LSU, Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson. John Mike says Tua will start against LSU. Yeah, and I think that Alabama's going to beat LSU, actually. Praveen NG says LSU, number 1. I think we all agree on that. You know, in the Pigskin Pete poll, I had Ohio State number 1 because I think Ohio State's been the most impressive and most dominant team in the country, but I think LSU is deserving by their metrics to be the number 1 team as of this week. LSU, Ohio State, Clemson, Penn State, 5. Alabama says Michael Robinson. Christian Ballard says LSU, Alabama, Ohio State, 4. Penn State. So Christian Ballard, being the Alabama homer has Alabama number 2 and Clemson not even in the top 4. Young Pablo, Clemson, LSU, Ohio State, Alabama. You might be the first one that I've seen have Clemson number 1. I don't think that's going to happen, but I appreciate your moxie, sir. Lee Braddock says Ohio State, LSU, Alabama, Georgia, Clemson. Sir, Georgia's not going to be ahead of Clemson. It's not going to happen. Now, if you think Georgia's better than Clemson, that's up to you. But Georgia losing to South Carolina at home, they're not going to be a place ahead of an undefeated Clemson. It's not going to happen. All right, so it's on now. Now, the real question here is, how long are they going to drag this crap out? Now, the good news is they have another basketball game scheduled to come on after this one, so hopefully that'll put a foot in their ass and they can hurry this thing up. But, they'll drag it out. Aaron Ross says LSU 1, Alabama 2, Ohio State 3, Penn State 4. So another one that leaves Clemson out of the top 4. I can't wait. Listen, here, final thoughts before this comes on. Again, for all you people that are just stopping in, thank you for stopping in. If you're new here, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I won't piss you off for at least 3 weeks, maybe less than that. I don't care where Clemson's ranked. I know people want me to care. I know people. Here's the other prediction I have. Let's just say, just for argument's sake, that somehow Clemson doesn't make it in the top 4 tonight, and they're ranked either 5 or 6 or 7 even. People are going to flood to my comment section, to my Twitter page, and start laughing at me like I care. I don't care. Clemson wins out, they're in. Clemson doesn't win out, they're not. So you can rank them anywhere you want. I really don't give a shit. But imagine this scenario, though. Imagine Clemson gets ranked ahead of Alabama tonight. There's some people that think that's going to happen. Now, I can see how it could happen. I don't think it's going to happen, but I can see how it could happen. How many Alabama fans do you think are going to be crying and whining and moaning on Twitter when this is over with if they get ranked below Clemson? And not just Alabama. I don't want to put them in a box here. But listen, you'll probably see Clemson fans whining if they're not in the top 4s. I mean, it is what it is. Penn State, too. Listen, all the Penn State fans feel as if they should be ranked in the top 4. I don't disagree. I don't disagree. If I'm a Penn State fan, which I'm not, but if I was, and they would, came in at 5 or 6, I might feel a little bit slighted based on the schedule they've had, and they're undefeated. But the bottom line here is Georgia and Oregon, same thing. Where they're ranked, that's going to piss them off. The bottom line here is no matter what happens, there's going to be at least 2 or 3 fan bases. They're going to be really, really, really mad at the end of tonight, and that is what I'm looking forward to the most. I might have to call in sick to work tomorrow because I'm going to be on Twitter all night looking, like when a bald eagle flies over the plains and he looks for an injured bunny rabbit to swoop down on and gobble up. That's going to be me on Twitter tonight. I'm going to be that eagle flying over Twitter looking for the injured fans that are crying and whining so I can swoop down and troll the shit out of them for the next 4 hours. I'm looking forward to that a lot. What's up, David Fogel? Don't kill me, please. What the hell kind of name is that? He says, I care if we're ranked 7. Why? I mean, listen, you're entitled to your opinion. I won't tell you how to feel. You can feel however you want to feel. But why would you care if you're ranked 7? Whether you're ranked 4, 3, 2, 7, 8, the outcome's not going to be different. Clemson has to win out. And if they win out, they're in. So I'm not going to tell you how to feel, but it just doesn't matter. Yes, Montana State A&T should at least come in at number 9. I completely agree with that. My name is Peete, and I got gigantic balls, says David Fogel. You said it, not me. That's a good question there, Will Jones. Who do I think's Florida State's number 1 choice? Well, judging from what I'm reading all over the internet, their number 1 choice is Bob Stoops, and these morons actually think that's going to happen. I mean, this is like the Florida, the same state, different team. This is like the Florida debacle. Everyone from Florida thought they were getting with John Gruden and was that Tennessee? I don't know. I get all these SEC homers mixed up. I can't remember. Somebody was getting John Gruden, then it was Chip Kelly and Lane Kiffin and all these. Look. Listen to Pete. Bob Stoops does not want to go to Florida. Why in the hell? Somebody give me one good reason. And don't tell me $6 million is a good reason. Not a good reason. Why would Bob Stoops retire from Oklahoma to take a job at a dumpster fire like Florida State? That's not going to happen, folks. Stop it. If I were them, now look, PJ Fleck made out like a complete champion today. The biggest winner in the firing of Willie Taggart is PJ Fleck. Why? PJ Fleck was on a short list of coaches that Florida State was looking at hiring. The coach of Minnesota, PJ Fleck, row your boat guy. Today, with perfect timing and elegance, Minnesota gives him a massive raise and an extension through 2026. Why? To keep him from going to Florida State. So PJ Fleck was back there watching Willie Taggart get fired on his TV screen. And he saw that, and a big smile came across his face because he knew he was about to get paid. And he did get paid. Congratulations, PJ Fleck. Congratulations, Minnesota Golden Gopher fans. You locked up that cue ball for another 7 years. Didn't Oklahoma run Bob Stoops off for Lincoln Riley? No, I don't think they did. I think he just retired. Bama will destroy LSU. I don't know about destroy. I tend to believe that Alabama is going to beat LSU. Dabo Swinney would never go to Florida State. No, why would he go to Florida State? Stop. Whoever said that. All right, here we go. Oh, hell, I'm missing it. I missed the first 2. 16 Kansas State, 17 Minnesota. Damn, 17. Talk about the disrespect. A 2-loss team. Iowa is ahead of Minnesota, so we already know right now that my projections are going to be way off. Apparently, 19 Wake Forest. I'm giving way too much credit to being undefeated, apparently. Oh, wow. But you know what this tells me? They're looking at your strength of record. That's really what they're going by here. And Minnesota's strength of record is not good, even though they're undefeated. So that should really worry you, all you Alabama fans. Shouldn't worry you, but it should. Cincinnati, number 20. 16, Kansas State is a 2-loss team. Wake Forest, number 19. All right, here we go. 15, Notre Dame. 14, Michigan. 13, Wisconsin. Baylor at 12. Man, look, my shit is way messed up. I promise it'll be better next week. I had Baylor at 9. So that already screws that whole thing up. Oh, man. Auburn at 11. Michigan. Okay, you heard the rest of that. Baylor at 12. So they're really putting a big premium. Now, look. Florida at 10. Look. Oklahoma at 9. I had Oklahoma at 10. You got to be shitting me. Utah at 8. Hey, I got that one right. I had Utah at 8. Got that one right. That's my first one right so far in the top 10. I did not see Florida coming in at number 10. I'm not going to lie. I didn't think there was any way a 2-loss Florida was going to be in the top 10. 7, Oregon. I had 7 Georgia, so that means 6 is going to be Georgia. So those two are flip-flopped. I'm not surprised about that. I even said that the Oregon and Georgia debate was like splitting hairs, and I wouldn't be surprised if they put Georgia ahead of Oregon. But so there you have it. Oregon at 7. Hey, of course, they take a break here because these are this top 6. We listen. Georgia's going to be 6. We know that. AM says shut up. Hello, AM. I don't know if you actually clicked on the wrong device. I don't know what you're watching. This is not a TV. This is a YouTube channel. You clicked on this YouTube channel, and I have a microphone, and you don't. So no, I'm not going to shut up. Where will Penn State, Clemson, and Alabama be? That's the 3 we want to know about. Yeah, Georgia's going to be 6. Here we go. Georgia at 6. All right. So far I got, what did I get? I don't know. We'll review it in a second. Number 5. This is the one that everyone's going to be crying about. Whoever's number 5 is going to be the criers on Twitter. Whoever it is. If it's Clemson, Clemson's going to be crying on Twitter, except for me. I'm not going to be doing that. But if it is Clemson, whoever it is going to be crying on Twitter. The suspense is killing me. Oh, it is Clemson. Damn it. Now I have to troll my own fan base. Shit. 4, Penn State. Wow. I'm not surprised that Penn State's in the top 4. I would have expected, actually, Alabama to be 4, though. So Alabama's going to be number 3. Well, it didn't ruin my night because Clemson's 5 because I don't care. What ruined my night is now I have to troll my own fan base. That's going to cause a lot of enemies. 3 is going to be Alabama. I'd be shocked if it wasn't. If 3 isn't Alabama, I'm not shocked Clemson's 5. What I am surprised about is that Alabama's not 4 and Penn State 3. I don't see the separation between Alabama and Clemson. If you're going to put Penn State in the top 4, they should be ahead of Alabama, in my opinion. But it doesn't really matter. LSU number 2, Ohio State number 1. Holy crap! Now listen, I gotta hear the reasoning behind this. Now the good news about this is now I can divert my attention from trolling Clemson fans because I'm still gonna have to do that. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to do that because they're gonna be crying. It is what it is. They're gonna be crying on the internet. But guess who else is gonna be crying on the internet? Luckily, LSU is gonna be crying on the internet because they're gonna feel like they should have been number 1. And look, hold on. Let me go back and put up. Let me put up my personal one real quick. I can find it. So my personal ones. Who do I have there at number 1 on my personal one? Look at it. Right there. Ohio State number 1. Right there. So I don't disagree with what they're doing with that number 1 spot. I do think that Ohio State's the best team in the country so far this year. And so I don't blame them for doing that. But I am surprised that they did do it, though. I'm not going to lie. So I can't wait to hear what's the jabroni that's the head of this committee that gives the explanations and talks in circles all the time that nobody believes. He's kind of like a used car salesman. He looks at you in the eye. He sounds like he knows what he's talking about, but he's lying straight to your face, everything he says. Who is that guy? Because I can't wait to hear him explain this top 5. I can't wait to hear him explain why they have Ohio State ahead of LSU. It can't be anything other than the eye test. And if the separation between Clemson and Alabama at 5 and 3, I'd love to know that. I completely understand Penn State being in the top 4, but if Penn State's going to be in the top 4, they should be at 3, and Alabama at 4 and Clemson at 5, in my opinion. But it is what it is. We'll see what they say. But at least here's the good news, or at least the news. I don't know if it's good news. It's news though. The good news is now we have something to go off of. So next week's rankings projections, I have something to look at based on who loses and wins this week and how they lose and how they win and who they play and blah, 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 the whole 9 yards. Now I have something to go off of. So, yeah. Bill Asif says the Bucs are the best team, no doubt. Well, I'm not disagreeing with you. Not disagreeing with you. All right. I know everyone wants me to be mad. If you tuned in to watch Pigskin Pete get mad about this, you're going to be vastly disappointed because I don't care. Any of these teams, Georgia, Oregon, Utah, Clemson, Penn State, Alabama, LSU, Ohio State, any of these teams went out, they're in, including Clemson. So it is what it is. Which matchups would I want in the playoff? Alec 12 asks. I don't really care, honestly. I know that's probably not a good answer or a compelling answer, but it is what it is. I mean, honestly, out of all the teams, I know that Alabama is ready for the big stage, and because we've played them 4 times in a row now. So no disrespect to LSU, no disrespect to any of these other teams, no disrespect to Ohio State. But I'd rather play Ohio State or LSU or Penn State in a playoff situation in the first round. I just would. Because Alabama's built for championships. We know that. So the other ones have to prove it. All right, guys. This went on longer than I thought it was going to, but it's been on for an hour and 6 minutes. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you all the people that super chatted. Nice Guy TV with a $1.99 or $2.99 donations. Uncle Lou with a $5 donation, and Ashley Snell with a $5 donation. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon. I will see you on what's today? Tuesday. I'll see you on Thursday, I think. Thanks for joining me. By the way, if you're not on, is anybody on Twitter? Why is nobody on Twitter? Follow me on Twitter at Pete Pigskin. I always forget to mention that. It's there on the screen. Follow me on Twitter. I'm on there all day, every day. So anyway, I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for stopping in. You're all amazing. You're all fantastic. Have a great night. Pigskin Pete is checking out.